Okay, oil is a pretty mid to late game technology. Once you research it, you'll be able to build these pump jacks and the oil refineries and chemical plants. Initially, in early game, you'll only have one oil processing, pretty basic. Gives you 3 heavy, 3 light, and 4 petroleum gas. These are the outputs, and this is the setup that I use in early game to keep production going. Now, when you want to calculate how much oil you're going to get, look at the yield in the tooltip. Now, round that up and then divide by 100, and that should give you the oil per second that you'll get. See, I get 2 per second. And that will pump in. Eventually, this needs 20 to actually, it uses 10, I guess. Yep, 10. 20 must be the next one. So that kicks off, puts it into all of my tanks. Now, how you set this up is entirely up to you. But early game, I like to use this setup in order to keep production going because these tanks will eventually fill up. And once they fill up, everything will back up and this thing will actually stop producing. So in early game, for my heavy oil, I convert my heavy oil into lubricant right away. So that goes right into a lubricant barrel, or storage tank, I should say. Now, light oil, this will be the next one that fills up because you don't really have a use for it right away. You can use steam engines to sort of vent it away, but I don't like to waste it. So while this builds up, I actually make solid fuel out of it because that actually uses up the light oil and actually produces something that I can then use. Now, petroleum gas is used in plastics, and you can see right here, I just researched plastics, which uses petroleum gas and coal. So another chemical plant uses coal and petroleum gas to make me 2 plastic bars. Now, all you need to do is bring coal down, and this will start using plastic. Plastic is then used for the middle tier of electronics, the red circuits, which takes 2 plastic bars to make. This is your basic early game oil setup. It will keep running quite efficiently. You can look at how fast you're producing these things, how much throughput you need, and you just build it to whatever ratios you're able to use. I use the very first plastic that comes off of this to make the first red circuits that go into my blue circuit production, or my blue science pack production, which I use the first 75 of those to actually get advanced oil processing. And advanced oil processing gives you different ratios of those items and also allows you to crack the heavy and light oil down in order to get even more petroleum gas. So you can see here, light oil can crack down to 2 petroleum gas, and heavy oil can crack to light. So once you unlock that research, you're able to actually sort of eliminate this function right here to crack to sort of use up your light oil, and instead crack it into petroleum gas, which you need in abundance. The heavy oil, you start producing far less of that, and then you start using the lubricant for several items in the game. So the heavy oil, if you find yourself ramping up production, more refineries, more oil, and you find yourself with a surplus of heavy oil while your lubricant is full, you can then crack the excess down into light oil, which then can be cracked further into petroleum gas, which makes you even more plastic. So early game oil is fairly straightforward and pretty easy once you have the sort of crafting chain set up. So you can see here, my heavy oil really isn't building up. My petroleum gas is, because I'm not using it. and my light oil is sort of hovering around the 50 range. If this actually builds up further, I can add a second chemical plant in order to just produce more of this solid fuel. And the solid fuel, if you find yourself having quite a bit of this, you can actually use this in all of your furnaces or your boilers to burn instead of coal. So you can just manually move some of that over and just keep producing it if you really need to. I typically don't. Once this system is going, I typically am able to research the upgraded oil processing before these actually fill up. So these won't actually fill up typically in my builds because the first plastic I use goes into the Blue Science packs, which goes into the advanced oil processing. So thank you for watching. Hope that helped.